Hello, welcome back to the vlog. Today we are kind of having a slow yet busy and productive day, if that makes sense. I had a nice slow morning drinking my coffee and doing a couple things around the house, and yet there's some things that I'd like to do today. I'd like to write thank you cards from my baby shower. I need to run to my car's dealership because my seatbelt is stuck in the back and we can't fix it, and we need to install our car seat. So that is absolutely vital. And then I think I'm going to make some bread, and I'm also feeling like making some jam to go along with the bread because I have a ton of frozen strawberries. So let's see if we can get all of that done. Oh, and then another thing too that I'd like to do today is build a bookshelf for her nursery, because that is like one of the last things we need to do to at least have it bare minimum. Not that she's going to be sleeping in there right away, but there's just some extra cosmetic things, but getting a bookshelf has been vital because just her books have been sitting on the floor and that has been frustrating me. So that is kind of on the agenda today. So I hope you stay tuned and follow along. Okay, so I'm going to make some homemade, just basic white bread in my Zeroshi. I don't know how to correctly pronounce that, but it is the best thing ever. So we will need approximately 320 grams of water. So I got my handy dandy kitchen scale. This thing has honestly been the best thing ever. If you don't have a kitchen scale, you are truly missing out, because I never realized how much you truly need it. In this house, we measure exactly when it comes to bread stuff. So that's why I was literally spooning out water. Now we will need 4 1/4 cups of flour. So I had to restock my flour. So I have a little bit here from the previous, and then just a little bit here. Then we will need 4 tablespoons of sugar. Sometimes I will do less, but today I'm just going to do the full amount just for the sake of things. And 2 tablespoons of salt. It says on the recipe that it calls for rapid rise yeast, and I don't have that, and I've never had a problem with it. So if you use a bread machine and it says that and you have normal yeast, fret not. So 2 of those, and I buy my yeast from Costco because I literally use this thing on a weekly basis, whether it's bread like this or pizza dough. Even if I don't make bread on a weekly basis, I make pizza dough on a weekly basis. Then we will need 2.5 tablespoons of butter. It says unsalted butter, but my unsalted butter is frozen right now and I don't feel like doing that. So therefore we're just going with salted. I also like to keep a little towel beneath everything, because if this thing screeches against the countertops, like it feels like a cavity is gonna pop out of my mouth, and that is absolutely the worst. So that is literally it for making the bread, and then the machine behind me will do absolutely everything. And as someone who has made bread by hand for many, many, many years, this thing is absolutely amazing. I will link it down below if you're interested, because there's just so many different things that you can do with it. And one of the coolest features is that you can set a timer on it. So if you want bread by 5 a.m. in the morning, then you can go ahead and time that in, and you will wake up to fresh smelling bread in the morning. Like, how amazing is that? So I'm gonna pop it in, and then we'll see what it looks like when it's done. So I got the bread done, and now I am currently on my way to get my seatbelt fixed, hopefully. I brought some of the thank you cards and things like that, and just other little things that I could work on just in case if it takes a while. Hopefully it doesn't. And now I am also on my way to get a little iced coffee because I'm actually very tired and I only got like 6 hours and 50 minutes of sleep. So therefore I need a little extra coffee. So yeah, that is it. Hopefully the seatbelt doesn't take long. Hi, can I get a tall iced coffee with cream and sugar, like the liquid sugar and light ice, please? You gotta do a taste test. This looks like a good color, so I'm hopeful. And it's pretty good. So now we're officially on the way to get my seatbelt fixed. Okay, so I am back home now. Apparently my car dealership had a shuttle service, so I actually didn't need to wait in the service room. So now I'm just having a quick lunch, and then I'm going to kind of chill, take a little breather, and then get started on the thank you cards. I just got home from picking my car up from the dealership, and the bread is almost done. It smells heavenly in my house. But I'm gonna let it sit. When it's done, it goes into a warm setting, and I find that when I let it sit on warm for a long time, it's just even better. So what I think I'm gonna do now is throw some laundry in and work on the bookshelf. Definitely need to get that done. And I think I'm going to change into some comfortable sweatpants. And yeah, it's very gloomy out right now. I feel like every time I try to film, it's gloomy. And so it's kind of making me want to do nothing, but I have to keep on keeping on. And so I think I'm just going to brew a tea to just kind of set the cozy vibe. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get started on the bookshelf. Product. Not going to lie, I am not well pleased because I screwed it up And when I was nailing these, I struck through. And that's the one thing I hate about these backings, is I will always do something like this. And so I'm a little salty, but thankfully this is kind of a temporary thing, because some of the bookcases that I have been seeing are well over our price range. So this was just kind of something cheap in the meantime. And so honestly, like, we could put this in the garage once when we get what we actually want. And thankfully I used some gift cards from baby showers and things like that. So it didn't really cost a dime to us, but it still stings that I screwed it up. And then another thing too, I plan on keeping these for once when she's a little bit more mobile and we have to bolt it to the wall. But right now I'm not going to worry about that, since the main priority is to put the books away. So finally I can put away the books, and then this room will be 90% done. Getting this decor piece from someone that I know, and it says enjoy the little things. And I remember when I got it, I was freshly pregnant, and I was like, if this is a little girl, then I'm going to use it in her nursery, because I am going to enjoy the little things, aka her. So I need to get some Goo Gone, because clearly there's still a sticker on it. But this is just going to go right here, along with this little mouse library. I guess this was my husband's when he was a kid. I don't even know. Oh, I guess you open it this way. And there's little itty bitty books in here, so that will go right there for now. And then I think that completes the bookshelf for now. Like I said, this thing is kind of temporary. Okay, now that the bread is done, it has been warming. Now we are going to make some jam. I have this bag. Sorry, my dog is drinking water right now. I have this bag from Costco that turned into a huge clump, so I can't even like barely use it. So I'm going to use this cutie little pot to make our jam, as well as some sugar. It is so easy to make your own jam. I am going to thaw out this clump just a little bit, just so then that it'll be a little bit quicker to make the jam, because I honestly really want some toast right now. So yeah, let's do that and then we'll get started. So whenever I make jam, I typically do just a little bit less sugar than what the recipe calls for. And usually I just kind of wing it. So I think the recipe that I found, normally I don't save anything. I just kind of find a recipe on Pinterest and just go with that one. So I think it called for 1.25 cups, or maybe 1.5 cups. So I'm going to start off with just 3/4 cup and see if that tastes right. But if not, then I can just add a little bit more. But I would rather have a little less sugar. But yeah, so I'm just going to let this get thick. And then basically you want it as just thick enough to where you can scrape the bottom and it doesn't really drip like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the other 1/4 cup. So while this is simmering, honestly, I probably should have used a bigger pot, but that is okay. So while this simmers for about 15 minutes or so, I'm going to prep dinner. I am making beef and noodles tonight. I'm thinking I'll either do broccoli or peas as a side, but I'm thinking of also adding in some onion. Usually I add in some mushrooms, but I think I have about half of a onion, or I'm just kind of feeling onion. I don't know. So I think I might add that in just to add it in. And then, yeah. And I also haven't cut up the bread yet. Like I said earlier, it really helps when you just let it sit in there for a while. And then maybe I'll have this jam or like toast for dessert, or maybe before dinner. I don't know. I'm 39 weeks pregnant, so I feel like I can kind of do what I want. But I also feel like since I've been pregnant, it has been so hard to meal plan and just think of things that I want to eat. And more so because I don't have the energy to just think of food. And which is just crazy rare for me, because grocery shopping and meal planning is like one of my favorite things to do, especially as a homemaker. And so, yeah, I just haven't had the motivation. I've been doing pickup orders and having grocery delivery, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but for me, like, that says a lot. And so I kind of miss going into the stores. So I'm intrigued to see how long that will last. It'll definitely be interesting when I head into motherhood. But yeah, so that's why I have been doing the most simple meals and just kind of making meals with what I have. And so beef and noodles is also one of my husband's favorite meals, but usually it's one meals that I have everything on hand. And so, yeah, I think I'm going to get started on that. Like I said, I'm going to add onion to it. I've never added onion, so we'll see how that goes. I'm honestly starting to feel a little bit worn out, but that's okay. The night is still young. And yeah, so today is Thursday. Typically my husband will go out and play some games with some of his guy friends. And so it is just me tonight. So I'm kind of thankful for that. And I think I will spend the evening playing The Sims, which is literally one of my favorite games ever. I think it's because I used to love playing house as a kid, and playing The Sims is like a virtual house in the sense. So I'm looking forward to that. That's typically when I play, is on Thursdays, and they just came out with an update today, or like this week. So excited to play with that. And then I also might edit this video as well. We'll see if I have time for both. Typically it's one or the other. And then I'll call it a night. And yeah, I have like 3 brain cells right now. I feel like pregnancy brain really hasn't hit me until like this last week. Like, thinking of things to say has been so hard for me lately. And just my sentences don't make sense. So if you've seen, well, I would say that it's kind of been hitting me the last like 2 or 3 weeks, now that I think about it. See? And so if you like look back at some of my videos, you're probably thinking like, what in the world is this girl talking about? that is why. The brain connection is just not there. And you know what? That's okay, because if I can't think because she's taking my nutrients and she's getting everything that she needs, then that's okay. I will survive because I know that it will not last forever. So I'm going to get off here and get to cooking. So I literally just had the biggest fail. I turned away for 1 second and it boiled over. And so yeah, I need to keep a better eye. Thankfully nothing was burnt. Hopefully my fire alarm doesn't go off, but let's get this cleaned up and finish this. But I had to document this fail. Okay, so dinner was delicious. I will say adding the onion didn't really do much because I didn't really taste it. But now for the star of the show, aka some bread. The way that you get this out of here, because like it doesn't really come out. So you just twist these little thingies. And then also the jam is done, and I am just so excited to have these two together. So we will get this out. And then I also have this really cool little bread cutting board, so then that you get perfect slices every time. So then it's literally like store-bought bread. There we go. So here are the slices I picked out. I think I'm gonna toast one and then have one just normal. And then here is our finished jelly. I don't add any like lemon or pectin just because I go through it pretty quickly when I do make it. So let's give this a try. truth. Chef's kiss. This jam tastes exactly like the Costco brand of jelly. If you know, you know. It's literally how I describe the Costco jam. It's like a little grandma made it all day long. And this stuff tastes just like it. So 10 out of 10 recommend. I will leave my measurements down in the description box below, as well as the dinner that I made tonight as well. And thank you so much for watching today's video. I really hope that you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe to follow along on my journey. And now I'm going to end the night with some Sims. So I hope you have a good one, and see you next time.
And also absorb some of that marinade to kind of help make it more mild.